implementation. And there was this great webpage put up by Justin Jackson recently. He's talking about the fact that we become obsessed today with fancy design, responsive design, frameworks, CSS, responsive, Angular, Bootstrap, and all that stuff. Yeah, it's cool. We like that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not the point. What the magic of the web is not that you send bytes through HTTP protocols, because you can just create a page and share something, an emotion, a story with someone on the other side of the world at any time. That's the true beauty of the web. And again, it's not about the implementation, it's about the result, the goal, and what you're trying to convey. And when people go to a website, it's the same thing. They don't really care which framework you're using, which technology, WebGL or Flash. There's this whole debate about stacks, how you should be using whatever the technology you use. The people go to have an experience. Just provide a best experience and use the technology that the best fits the experience. So really the point is technology to serve a goal and never the opposite. So here is an example. This person has a camera. He's capturing something with his camera. Probably super fancy camera, but what happens behind the scene doesn't really matter. He's capturing a moment, capturing something that he wants to share with someone. Is it like something with his girlfriend, or a picture of his son with his wife, or something like that? Again, what happens behind the scenes is really a detail. And I know it may be controversial because in a tech conference we can be obsessed with technology, and this can become a distraction. We over-engineer things, and we even put some technologies where we shouldn't put this technology. So for instance, what I want to talk about is the detail. The fact that it's a detail is really something almost annoying, and why is that? And I really thought about it, and that's because it becomes emotional. It takes a long time for us to master the technology. You write books or you read books, and it takes a lot of time. These are two books that I wrote. The one on the left is the one when I was single and not married. And you get the rest. And it takes a long time to write and read and teach, but again, you shouldn't be attached to the tech, or at least the implementation. Is it C++, Objective-C, ActionScript, JavaScript, whatever? What's important is that you don't place the technology, you use the best one to do the best job, really. So I'm sure you guys have been around, and you've seen that, and that, and that, and that, and it's going to keep happening. And actually, I don't know how much time do these people have on blogs and tech blogs commenting and having discussions about that. I'm like, don't you have something to do? But anyway, don't become a fanboy. Don't try to push for a specific stack because you're attached emotionally, because you've invested so much time. If the technology is not the right fit, just use another one. So it's really about the result and the end goal. And it's the same thing in everything you experience in your life. If you go to a restaurant and you have an amazing piece of sushi, any one of you guys saw Jiro, Dreams of Sushi? You guys have to see that movie. It's just amazing. This 85 years old sushi master who's still saying, I basically suck at sushi, and he's like a sacred, basically national treasure by the Emperor of Japan. And it's amazing. But anyway, at the end, when you go to this restaurant and pay $300 for some sushis, you don't really care about the fact that he spent 10 hours cooking the rice or that slice where he got the meat. It's about the experience you're going to have in these 3 seconds of delicate food. And the same thing when you go to a concert, it's about the experience. And same thing when you eat something great, like these macarons. You don't really care about, again, the execution or at least the implementation. It's about what it tastes and what it feels like. So, I've been in multiple conferences. I've been working on Flash for 13 years. I've seen technologies come and go, and maybe you're thinking, well, so is he telling us we shouldn't care? We should just take the money and just use any technology and get the work done? No, I mean, you can be passionate, but you need to stay curious and always assume you don't know. That's very important because Recently, I saw an article. I was very, very angry on Medium. Has any one of you guys saw that article? It's an article. It's not against Devin personally. It's this article says basically if you use any tools to create HTML, you're lazy. And I was like, well, and he's saying you should not use a tool. You should do everything by hand because this is the right way to do it. And I'm like, what? Like, first, I mean, you don't know. I mean, you shouldn't call lazy if like some people are trying to move the needle and make progress. This may not be the right fit for you, but don't call people lazy because they're working differently. And maybe you don't know, and maybe in 2 years you're going to say, oh man, that article, I feel so bad, I wrote that. But anyway, there's a great quote by Brett Victor about this, and says, the most dangerous thoughts you can have as a creative person is to think you know what you're doing. And it's so true. Always question yourself. Am I actually using the right thing? Is it the right technology? Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm doing something crazy. How many times I have posted a blog post and I'm like, this is kind of lame. Why are people going to be interested in that? Actually, people loved it. Just yeah, you know, just keep it going and keep playing as a kid. So recently I attended a conference, I won't name it, and people were like, who's going to win? And I was so tired of that debate. Like, JavaScript, C++, no, it's Dart, and it's Objective-C, and why should one win? There's no safe bet. Don't listen to people telling you there's a safe bet, like Objective-C because iOS, whatever, today, or Android, or JavaScript. Yeah, JavaScript has been a safe bet, but who knows? Probably JavaScript, even JavaScript, what we think is, never going to change. Who thought Flash would at some point, kind of, lose some of its reach and momentum? Today, you should never assume that one technology is going to last forever. And by being religious, you really barricade yourself. You start having preconceived ideas on things. And you can see that in conversations, the comments, and blogs. So you start learning and have some preconceived ideas, and I have some examples. So I'm sure you've heard this one. A guy coming from Java or C# is like, JavaScript. Oh man. No, it's just for scripting. I really want the serious language. Well, proof is today, Mozilla, for instance, has proved recently that in the browser with JavaScript and WebGL, you can actually run stuff like that without any plugin in the browser with JavaScript. And the way they do that is that they cross-compile C++ using mscripting to JavaScript. And it looks like magic. And ASM.js is the technology behind the scenes. It's a specification that Mozilla is trying to push, which defines a subset of JavaScript that compilers should emit from any kind of language. And if your compiler emits that code, then it will be highly optimized by the Mozilla VM. I can't recall the name of that VM. And so the point is, you could cross-compile C++ or Java or C# to JavaScript and have high-performing near-native code running in the browser. JavaScript is not object-oriented, and it's changing. With VS6, you can now have modules and classes. You can do encapsulation, true encapsulation, with some keywords like public, private, and getters and setters. So we're really, things are changing. If you keep your eyes open and keep, looking at what's going on, you'll see that actually the stack is moving so quickly. So again, never assume that things are fixed. And I've heard people saying, well, if I want static typing, I don't have that in JavaScript. I need that to get work done. Well, who has heard of TypeScript? So TypeScript is a cool Microsoft project, completely open source. You can install it through Node. And it allows you to leverage the ES6 features, so all the future features you'll get in JavaScript in ES6, and generate, and so you can leverage all that, plus get static typing if you want at compile time. Of course, at runtime, you're screwed. but at least at compile time you get that security. And it will generate plain ES5 compatible JavaScript code like this. And actually TypeScript is a cool project if you want to know some tricks in JavaScript, how to do encapsulation, things like that in JavaScript. You can see what TypeScript does, and it's pretty interesting. So I wanted to do something. I always been fascinated with emulators, and I wanted to run the original Space Invaders ROM in JavaScript in the browser. You can find these ROMs online. I'm not sure it's legal, but anyway. But the point is, it was just a fun project. I wanted to play with JavaScript and experiment. And I wrote something in ActionScript 3 back in the days, and why am I talking about this? Because I wanted to use the right tool for the job here. I could have done it by hand, because this is the right thing to do. Or I could have used TypeScript, which has static typing, classes and stuff very close to ActionScript, and allowed me to port the application, or the game and the emulator entirely in an hour. It's running on Canvas and completely emulated in JavaScript. And this is kind of cool. I mean, you run the ROM inside the browser, and it's the original ROM playing with keyboard input and stuff. Runs on your phone. Anyway, chose the best option for me to get the job done. And some other things, like C# is for Windows developers only. Truth is, today, C# is a really awesome platform if you want to create games on multi-devices, like iOS and Xbox and Android using Unity. And if you want to create applications using C# on iOS also, and not just games, you can use Xamarin, which allows you to create native apps using C#, not just Objective-C. So there's also C++ is way too low level. And you hear that, like, yeah, C++ way too low level, I need something more high level. Actually, C++ 11 is moving the needle, and C++ 11 looks pretty close to a high-level language. Still, you have some things, little scary things if you're doing just JavaScript or high-level language, but it's very close, and you get native speed. And also, I was part of these people. I'm a web guy, doing like scripting and stuff. Native stuff is hard, but check this out, for instance. I didn't do that. But this guy did that, and you have to check it out because it's beautiful. And it's called Starry Night. And I'm showing you this because this is using a framework called Open Frameworks. This slide behind is running through Open Frameworks. And it's basically a C++ framework that exposes APIs very similar to Flash, very easy to understand, very productive, very high level, abstract some of the complexity of 3D math and all that stuff. And it exposes APIs that are very easy to use, and you can use C++ to script that. And even if you come from JavaScript or ActionScript or a high-level language, it's very easy to use. I highly recommend you guys play with this because it's awesome. And you can target any kind of device and the desktop and create amazing experiences. Another thing I've heard is functional programming languages are not for real-world usage. Who has heard of functional programming languages? Anyone uses a functional programming language every day? Yeah, and that's why a lot of people say it's really not for real world, but I want to share a few thoughts about functional programming. Today we program in an imperative way, so basically a beautiful analogy for that is like, generally functional programmers take this analogy about the latte. Imperative programming is I want a latte, and you are very explicit about what you want. So hit some milk, put it into a cup, brew some coffee, pour the coffee in it and milk. Thank you, I got my latte. Functional programming is, I want a latte. Thank you. And what does that mean? It's very simple. Functional programming is all about being implicit and very succinct. And the beauty is in that, because by being implicit, you limit the amount of details you expose, and so you limit the number of errors that you're going to have in your program. So I highly recommend you guys look at things like Scala or F#, which are beautiful languages. I'll give you a few examples. So this is how you would create an array in F#. And automatically, this is what they call list comprehensions. By using the syntax, you automatically populate the list with even numbers, and it would work with strings, or it would work with different sequences. This is very, very, very elegant. Or if you do something in JavaScript like that, I don't know if you've noticed, but you actually have to think backwards. You have to say, okay, I'm going to do a square root, and then a round, and then an absolute. And then you have to work from right to the left. I think it's very unnatural. Whereas in functional programming languages like F#, you'd say, I have my value, pass it, I want it square, a round, and an absolute. And it's way simpler to read. Or let's say you wanted to, do the square, calculate the square of each element in a list. Well, you would write it in an imperative way that way. You would say, let's create a buffer, and let's do a loop, and let's go through every element and add the value and square it, store that, return the array, and then get the array. If you actually truly write that in a functional way, you're going to say, do a mapping of this function and give me the sum. And you're going to get the same result. And see the syntax, and it's much more succinct and elegant. So, but again, functional programming is very interesting if you work with like large data set, and it's just fun to play with. And I'll tell you why, because in a few slides, why you should be looking at these languages. Another thing is, it's impossible to use the web stack to do multi-core and parallelism and things like that. It's just, only native can do that. The web platform cannot do that. It's actually not true. Mozilla and Intel have demonstrated recently that you can actually use the GPU to do general computations. And the way they do that is they expose some APIs, like the equivalent of mapping plus par for parallel, that allows you to parallelize your code on the GPU. And why is that important? Because the GPU is an extremely powerful unit to parallelize things, because it's tons of basically CPUs running in parallel. So instead of doing that on a CPU, you do that on a GPU to calculate things like distances. And imagine in physics, in a physics engine the power of running on GPU can have. So the way it works is behind the scene, there's OpenCL that's being used that basically does the magic behind the scene. And the result is that. So this is a particle engine running in JavaScript through River Trail in Firefox. And it's running at 40 frames per second. If you were to run that in a sequential way in JavaScript without parallelization, it's going to run very slowly, probably like 5 frames per second. Actually, you can see that later in the video. This is what I will run today in JavaScript without the GPU. So this is something very promising. And again, you see the stack is constantly changing, constantly moving. So you should always be curious and looking around. So River Trail, check it out. So my point is, you may never use these, but they will make you a better developer. So you need to keep learning stuff, new stuff. And personally, what I've done recently is try to step back from technology and look and keep the creativity loop going, but while stepping back from the technology. And this is the same thing when you go to, some people may actually have a band they play with, some people may do photography. I personally bake. And why do I do that? Because there's the same loop going on. You have a goal, you experiment, you fail, and you iterate. And I think that it's very important in your everyday life to have something in parallel of the tech so that you can keep this creativity loop going without having to be in the tech, because it allows you to step back from technology and be more rational. And when actually technologies come and go, it's not the end of the world for you, because you have a shelter, you have an area where you can actually keep it going. And it's very, very important you do that. And you'll see that most people become obsessed and religious about technology when it's kind of the center of their life. So think about this. So this is an example when I started baking bread. It was pretty bad. My wife said, hey, it's good, but you sure you don't want to go to Trader Joe's? And then I kept it going, I kept iterating, and now I'm going to get it right, and it got better. Looks better, and then keep iterating, and now I actually bake bread every week, and family loves it, and I have a lot of fun doing that. And I do that with tons of things, and what I do, I sketch stuff on my tablet. I colorize it, and then I execute it. And the big problem is that there's no undo. So when you get it wrong, you just get it wrong, and it's pretty bad. But it's a lot of fun, and it allows me to kind of, again, step back. And when people become obsessed with something, I'm like, okay, maybe you should relax a little bit and chill and go do something else and come back, and we'll have a conversation. And again, I'll become, and I can be obsessed about that, like any person coming from the tech. Oh, it's not good, I keep iterating, and then yes, looking good now, looking better. This is when I started doing the phrase, that's on the right. That's an old picture, I even have more picture, but maybe I should stop talking about baking. And then the point is, when you do that, you also get the reward, is that when I bring that stuff to the office, because I'm diabetic, so I can't eat all that stuff. Then I bring it to the office, and people will bring that to their home and make people obese. My friend, people in the office are like, you won't make people diabetic in the entire office, right? No, but the point is, it's great. I'm sharing that, and again, that's the point. We're all driven by that, by sharing something, sharing the experience, and showing it to people, and have people be excited about it, and be part of what you do, and sharing something in a creative process. And you get the reward of kids drawing that and telling you it was awesome, and it's kind of cool. So I want to end on that quote that I think is very relevant about success. It's not an event, it's a process. And you need to, whatever the stack you're working with, you need to keep it going. Keep playing. Never assume you know everything. Be curious, and stay foolish, like people say. Thank you. Anyone have any questions? I think we have 10 minutes. If not, just have free time, and I'll be around if you want to talk about recipes for baking. Any questions? Okay. Oh, yeah?
Do you have any preferred resources that you tend to use to stay up to date? Not that people are spending all their time on blogs and getting into those flame wars again?
Twitter. I think Medium is a great platform now. I think blogs are dead. Honestly, I think blogs are dead. I have a blog. I have 2 blogs. I think they were amazing, but I think today it takes so much time for people to blog something that people tend to just tweet something. So I just look on Twitter. I search for topics on Twitter, and when I see someone talking about a topic that I like, I just follow that person, and it becomes kind of my new feed. And Medium is a great way to learn new things, not necessarily about the tech, but actually just more inspirational topics. You say, so you go to Medium and you say, I don't know, like, let's say innovation or something. You have amazing topics selected. Sometimes you have articles, like the ones I didn't like, that get selected. But Medium is a good platform. I love it. But I truly believe that Twitter is kind of the new medium for getting information. Yes?
You seem to be kind of ambivalent about overuse of technology. So I'm wondering, how do you think our society indulges too much in technology, and how can we limit that maybe?
That's a good question. I wish I would have an amazing response to that question. I guess I don't know, people, again, I think most people tend to become obsessed and religious about technology when it becomes the center of their life. And that's why it's important to have something on the side that you can have fun with, so that you can be more kind of detached. And I was religious about technology. I was one of these people saying you should use Flash everywhere. And I've had friends saying you should use Java. And you have people today telling you should use JavaScript everywhere, on the phone, on the fridge, and in the class. And you're like, no, actually I'm going to use that technology because it's the best technology for that job. And when you deliver a project to like I was talking to a guy yesterday, he was saying, yeah, when you go to a customer visit and then you deliver a project, that customer doesn't care which technology is used. You care about the experience. If you say, yeah, we've been using Angular, dude, on that, that's good stuff. Well, I don't care. I don't know what you're talking about, but it looks good. It looks great. I love it. So I'd say find something on the side. It can be photography or playing music or doing any kind of thing. But I really think that people who step back become better developers. I've had friends. I have a slide that I removed. I can show you. I removed the slide, which I thought was too controversial to keep, because there's someone in this conference talking about saying the exact opposite thing of what I'm saying. This slide says it's not about the journey, it's about the destination. And where's that slide? Anyway, and I think it's true. I mean, some of the best developers I worked with didn't care much about the implementation and the journey. It was more about the result. And today, like 10 years ago, they were like rock stars in Flash. Now they're rock stars in HTML. And in 5 years, the new thing, they keep changing. They don't really care. They create amazing experiences, whatever the stack they have to use, and they have fun doing that. But I've had people who were religious about technology and keep thinking that the technology they've been using should be the technology that they should use for the future for everything, and these people become depressed or like can't find a job because they are obsessed with the stack. So really it's important to more focus on the result and not the implementation. Thank you guys. Have a good conference.